They just found out you were watching, and now they're freaking out. Let that sit with you for a moment. Let the gravity of that truth wrap around your spine like a cold serpent. The silence you carried wasn't weakness, it was strategy. The patience you showed wasn't submission, it was preparation. And now, the time has come. Every smirk behind your back, every whisper they thought you'd never hear, every lie wrapped in a handshake, it's all unraveling. Because now, they know. They know you were watching, you were listening, you were remembering. You were building something beneath the mask of indifference, and now they're terrified because somebody got the evidence for you. Understand this. Power isn't always loud, doesn't always roar. Sometimes it waits, it watches. It lets the enemy believe they've won so completely that they no longer see the shadows creeping closer. And you became the shadow. You became the silence that watched them dance in arrogance. You let them write their scripts, play their roles, even win their fake battles. But now they're standing in front of a mirror and realizing they were never in control. They were never untouchable. They were never ahead. Because the moment they found out you had your eyes open the whole time, the moment they realized someone had the receipts, the mask cracked. The fear came flooding in, and it's beautiful, because now the predator becomes the prey. You don't need to scream, you don't need to rant. The truth is louder than any voice you could ever raise. Evidence is louder than rumor. Cold, hard facts are louder than their fake charisma, and now they're drowning in that truth. Someone handed you the match, and now the whole forest is dry. They built their empire on deception, manipulation, and assumed ignorance, but they made one fatal mistake. They underestimated your memory, your endurance, your mind. They confused your silence for stupidity, and that mistake is the beginning of their end. Let them panic. Let them tremble behind closed doors. Let them scramble to erase the past. It's too late. The evidence is in motion now, and no one can stop a truth set free. You don't even need revenge. Truth is revenge. Proof is justice, and their fear is your validation. That's what happens when people mistake calm for weakness. That's what happens when snakes get too comfortable. They slither, they coil, they bite, but they forget one thing. When the lights come on, they can't hide anymore. And now the lights are on, the cameras are rolling, the files are open, the silence has been broken. This is your time. Not to attack, but to reveal, not to destroy, but to expose. They're already imploding under the weight of their own secrets. You just have to stand there, unmoved, unbothered, undeniable. They're scrambling, erasing messages, deleting histories, calling favors, denying everything, but it's all too late. That email, you have it. That footage, it's secured. That betrayal, documented. And that person who said, "You'll never make it," they're the one with the most to lose now. Because the truth is a flood, and you've been holding the dam in silence. Now, you let go. They didn't think you'd have backup. They didn't think anyone was paying attention. But you weren't alone. There was always someone else watching. And now, they brought you the gift they never expected. Proof. Clear, undeniable, timeline matching, fact-supported proof. And it's not just paper, it's power. It's not just information, it's liberation. And now you're armed with everything they feared you'd never find, and you haven't even spoken yet. That's what makes it worse. Because it's not just about what you know, it's about what they don't know you're going to do next. The silence now becomes terrifying. The unknown becomes a weapon, and every breath you take is a countdown in their mind. They're losing sleep, you're gaining peace, they're falling apart, you're coming together. Every time they said, "Don't worry, they'll never figure it out," that echo now haunts them, because you figured it out, because you saw what they tried to hide, because someone gave you the final puzzle piece, and you're not angry, so you're focused. You're not desperate, you're precise. You're not a victim anymore, you're the reckoning. Think about everything they thought they got away with. Think about every time you swallowed your pride just to survive another day. Every time they called you too quiet, too passive, too emotional, too naive. Those were just projections of their fear. And now, those same people are clinging to alibis and fake smiles and desperate distractions. Because the evidence, your evidence, doesn't lie. It doesn't bend. It doesn't care about reputation or connections. It speaks for itself. And the story it tells is devastating. They tried to bury you with false narratives. They tried to erase your credibility, but you didn't fight back with fire. You waited with patience, and now your patience is a guillotine. This isn't about revenge, it's about revelation. The truth was never on their side. It was just waiting for the right moment to surface. You are at that moment. You are the storm they laughed at until the thunder came, and now every step you take makes the ground beneath them shake. You were underestimated for too long, but you learned in silence. You studied their patterns. You kept the receipts. You trained in the dark while they danced in the spotlight. And now the spotlight turns. Now every move you make is calculated. Now they don't know what you know, and that's their worst nightmare. The fear in their eyes now, that's real. That's not drama. That's not paranoia. That's the slow, crushing realization that the game is over. The evidence is real. The truth is coming. And you don't need to chase them. You just need to stand still and let them fall under the weight of their own facade. No more begging. No more second chances. No more pretending you didn't see it all. They watched you crawl and called it weakness. Now you stand, and it's power. They saw you fall and thought you'd stay down. Now you rise, and it's judgment. Let this burn into your bones. They just found out you were watching, and they're freaking out. That's not just a sentence, that's a shift. That's a crack in their illusion. That's the start of the end. And it all began with quiet eyes, sharp memory, and someone who refused to break. You were never weak. You were preparing. You were absorbing. And now, the world they built on lies is turning to ash, because you lit the match with the truth. You didn't need to fight dirty. You didn't need to scream. You just needed proof. And now you have it. Somebody got the evidence for you, and that somebody changed everything. So what comes next? That's the beauty of it. You decide. You're no longer reacting. You're orchestrating. You're not chasing justice. You are justice. You are the moment they never saw coming. You are the face they now see in every nightmare. And you never had to raise a hand, because the evidence does all the talking. Let them squirm. Let them lie. Let them pray. The truth doesn't need permission anymore. It's here, and it's wearing your face. And remember this, the world might not have believed you at first. They might have mocked you, doubted you, ignored you. But evidence is louder than opinion. Evidence is undeniable. And now, every voice that once doubted you is silent, watching, waiting, wondering what you'll do with this power. You don't owe anyone mercy. You don't owe anyone understanding. You owe yourself truth. And now you've got it. They just found out you were watching, and now they're terrified. Because what's coming isn't revenge, it's exposure. Now you don't need to shout, you just need to show. Because there's something far more powerful than rage. And that's proof in the hands of the quiet one. You became the evidence bearer, the watcher who never forgot, the one they should have feared all along. And the silence you carried wasn't submission, it was survival. You weren't avoiding the truth, you were gathering it. And now every second of their confidence is unraveling like a loose thread. And you're holding the scissors. That's what happens when someone believes they've destroyed you. They let their guard down, they relax, they get careless. But you were never broken. You were calculating, you were remembering, and now they're the ones breaking. Let that shake their core. Let them sit in the realization that their biggest mistake wasn't what they did to you, it was believing they could do it without consequences. They played a dirty game, and now they're crying foul when the rules finally catch up to them. You didn't need to twist the story. You didn't need to make anything up. The truth is enough, because it's raw, it's real, and it's irreversible. This isn't a game of perception anymore. It's a game of facts. And the truth doesn't care who they are, what they've achieved, or who protects them. The truth doesn't play favorites. It burns everything fake down to ash. You're not here to make them understand. You're not here to make them feel better. You're here to watch them crumble under the weight of what they did. And you're going to do it with calm, with clarity, with precision. Because when someone finds out you were watching the entire time, their lies don't just lose power, they become traps. Every excuse becomes a confession. Every denial becomes a deeper grave. And they're panicking because they know what's coming isn't a storm, it's a reckoning. They never thought you'd have leverage. They never thought you'd survive long enough to hold it. But you did. And now every receipt, every recording, every screenshot, every confession they thought would stay buried is rising like smoke before a wildfire. They're running from shadows now, whispering your name with dread. Every secret they thought was locked is a key in your hand. And the terrifying part, you still haven't spoken. You haven't acted, because the threat isn't in your anger, it's in your calm. You have the power of patience, and patience is the deadliest weapon when fused with the truth. You watched, you waited, you gathered, and now the time for silence is ending. The world will know what they tried to hide. They will see every act of deception, every betrayal, every mask they wore, and they will know you saw it all. You are the silent storm they thought would pass. But now, you are the flood. They just found out you were watching, and now they're scrambling to rewrite history. They're changing stories, distancing themselves, blaming others. But it won't work. Because when the truth comes with timestamps, it doesn't bend. When evidence comes with names and dates and motives, it doesn't fold under pressure. It doesn't negotiate. It demands accountability. And they know, deep in the pit of their stomach, that accountability is at the door, and your hand is on the handle. They are spiraling, because this was never supposed to happen. You weren't supposed to make it this far. You weren't supposed to rise. You weren't supposed to survive. But now you're standing where they never thought you'd be. Not just alive, not just healed, but in control, in possession, in power. The power of undeniable truth. And all it took was one moment, one message, one witness to tip the scale. Somebody got the evidence for you, and now there's no turning back. So don't flinch, don't hesitate, don't second guess what you already know. You've been tested, tried, buried, betrayed, and you didn't break. You learned how to breathe underwater. You learned how to walk through fire, and now You are unshakable. Let them scream. Let them deny. Let them throw dirt in every direction. It won't stick. The truth is too clean. The evidence is too sharp. The damage they caused is too real. And their hands are stained with their own undoing. This isn't just your comeback. This is your coronation. You've earned your silence. You've earned your rage. You've earned your moment of clarity, of justice, of release. You were never a victim. You were a witness. And now, you are the consequence. Let them whisper in boardrooms. Let them panic in private chats. Let them search for loopholes. The walls are closing in, and you didn't have to lift a finger. That's the power of evidence. That's the power of being the one who watches, who waits, who collects, who strikes, only when the moment is undeniable. And this moment, it's undeniable. They just found out you were watching, and they are freaking out, because now the story is no longer theirs to control. It's yours. And your story doesn't need their approval. It doesn't need their apology. It only needs truth. Truth that is cold, clear, and complete. And that truth, you hold it now. You don't have to threaten. You don't have to warn. All you have to do is walk into the room, and they'll feel it. All you have to do is look them in the eye, and they'll break. Because they know. They know. They know that someone got the evidence. They know their empire was built on borrowed time. And they know that time just ran out. So move in silence, but with certainty. Act with poise, but with purpose. Speak with calm, but with conviction. You are no longer reacting. You are deciding. You are no longer guessing. You are revealing. They thought you were the end of the story, but you're the beginning of the truth. And truth never forgets. They had their chance, they had their time, and they wasted it. On lies, on power, on fear. But now it's your time. Not for revenge, but for revelation. Not to destroy, but to expose. Not to become like them, but to rise above them. With the truth in your hands, with the evidence by your side, with their fear as your soundtrack. They just found out you were watching, and they're unraveling. Good. Let them. Because when truth finally takes the stage, it doesn't need an audience. It just needs silence, so its echo can be heard for generations. Now go, not to prove anything, but to finish what they never thought you'd begin. Now go, not with vengeance in your heart, but with fire in your eyes. Go with the stillness of someone who no longer needs to chase shadows, because you've become the light that exposes everything. Every lie they lived, every mask they wore, every scheme they thought would go unseen. It's all laid bare now, dissected by the same gaze they thought couldn't see. And they're terrified. Not because you're loud, but because you're calm. Not because you're angry, but because you're certain. Certainty is the sharpest blade, and yours has been forged in silence, in watching, in waiting. Let them feel the weight of that certainty pressing on their chest every night. Let it creep into their minds like a slow, unavoidable tide, whispering to them that you know, that it's over, that the evidence lives. You don't have to show it yet. Just let them know it exists. Let the idea of it drive them to madness. Because that's how power truly works. When they self-destruct before you even make a move, you are not hunting them. They are running from you. And every step they take is into a trap they built for themselves. They told everyone you were paranoid. They painted you as bitter, emotional, unstable. And they said it with such conviction that even you started to wonder. But you know what they feared most? not your suspicion, not your resilience. They feared the day when you'd wake up and realize you were right, and that day is here. You are not paranoid. You were perceptive. You were not weak. You were surviving. And now you're thriving, not in their world, but in the one you reclaimed, in the one they can't enter without tripping every wire they set themselves. Let this truth become your pulse. Let it guide every breath, every move, every word. You don't need to explain how you got here. You don't owe anyone a retelling of your pain. All that matters is what you do next. With the evidence, with the control, with the silence you've mastered like an art. Because silence is no longer your shield, it's your weapon. You don't need to make a noise to make an impact. You already have. They're scrambling to rewrite the story, but they can't. You've already taken the pen, and the next chapter, it's yours. Let them sweat. Let them guess. Let them waste time trying to control the damage. They think they still have time. They think they can twist the narrative, discredit the source, bury the truth deeper. But they don't realize the moment they found out you were watching was the moment the clock started ticking. They can't spin this. They can't silence this. Because this time, the truth doesn't come with noise. It comes with precision. And you've learned how to cut deeper with truth than they ever could with lies. They know it now. You were always one step ahead, even when you were miles behind. You were learning, adapting, becoming. They thought your silence was surrender, but it was the greatest act of rebellion. Because while they were building illusions, you were gathering reality. You were archiving moments, collecting scars, assembling the puzzle they thought you'd never see. But now the picture is complete, and it's ugly, and it's real, and it belongs to them. You have no need to convince anyone. Let the facts speak. Let the records show. Let the evidence fall like thunder on the fragile house of cards they built. You are the storm they thought they avoided, but you never left. You were always watching. They thought time would protect them. They thought fading memories and shifting stories would be enough. But time didn't work in their favor. It worked in yours. Because time doesn't erase truth. It amplifies it. And now it's echoing in every room they hide in. They wanted silence from you. That's what scared them most. Not that you'd fight, but that you wouldn't. Because silence meant planning. Silence meant preparing. And now, every second of that silence is being paid back, not in anger, but in impact, not in explosions, but in unraveling. Let them watch everything they thought was safe dissolve in front of them. That's what happens when someone finds out you are watching. They lose their grip on control. There's a look in their eyes now that you'll never forget. The flicker of recognition. The quiet horror of someone who realizes the game is no longer in their hands. You don't need to argue. You don't need to yell. Just walk in the truth. Let your presence be proof. Let your calm be the storm. Let your silence be the sentence. They're not afraid of what you might do. They're afraid of what you already know. They just found out you were watching. And that truth is shattering everything. Their alliances are cracking. Their confidence is crumbling. Their storylines are falling apart. Because no one can outrun a truth that has roots. And you've planted yours deep. Deep enough to outlast the lies. Deep enough to expose everything they tried to bury. You are not the threat. You are the truth. And the truth doesn't knock. It breaks the door down. So keep walking, head high, eyes clear, no apologies. You've come too far to explain yourself to those who never deserved your loyalty. Let them answer to the evidence. Let them answer to the silence. Let them answer to the version of you they never saw coming, the version that doesn't need validation, doesn't need permission, and doesn't need forgiveness. You've outgrown their chaos. You've outlived their lies. And now they are left with the consequences. And that fear, that uncontrollable panic they're trying to mask with fake smiles and hollow words, that's not just fear of being caught. It's fear of being seen, truly seen, for the first time, by you, the one who watched.